بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Inshallah, today we are going to talk about the science of the sphere, or the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal in the science of sphere. This science is going to be a new wave of it's going to be the start of new wave of lectures, inshallah, and I'm going to presume all the lectures that I spoke before in Arabic. Today I'm gonna be speaking those lectures in English, and going to start explaining all the sciences that we discovered are connected between science and religion. Let's first put the first stone in this science, that we need to be convinced that the religion is a part of the whole science. Religion is a part of our science by saying the science of religion. When we say the science of religion, this is mean a religion is a part of a whole science, which is constructed not just in a book we study in the libraries or in universities. It is more than that. It is the science of God, which is Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah described that in the Holy Quran when He said, وَحَاطَ اللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. He said in the Holy Quran that He created everything from the principle of science. The translation always give a different meaning. That's why I always say, if you want to truly learn about Holy Quran, you really need to start learning about the Quran in Arabic language, and then so you can start to refer its true meaning. Because as we know, the Holy Quran has many meanings, and each meaning depend on the way you're talking about it, in which subject you are bringing this ayah to it. So science as a definition, the religion as a definition is a constitution between servants and God. For example, if you live in a certain country, the government of this country will always make sure that people of that country has a certain thing called a constitution. Constitution is defined by certain laws, certain duties that every citizen has to be doing for the government, and the government the services that she will be doing back. We can take religion as a same definition. Religion is a science that Allah Azza wa Jal gave, so we will be starting to know what Allah Azza wa Jal, the Creator, is asking us to do, and in the back what He will be doing. Knowing all those type of sciences will always going to let us know why we were created, the main reason of existence, what is the reality of existence. The more we go deeper into science, the more we find those answers. I always say that those two are apart, and they're all defined by regulation of the main science that Allah Azza wa Jal created. Inshallah, in this lecture I will be going deep dive into the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. How are we going to see it? How did we see it? Who exactly those 8 people that will be holding the throne of Allah? Because in the Holy Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said in a direct translation, He said His throne during the judgment day will be carried by 8. And who are those 8? And are we in this universe defined or entangled by science to define what exactly those 8? This is the reflection of Allah Azza wa Jal through His servants, through the science, through what exactly we are facing and what exactly we are learning from this universe, from this world. As we know, and as we are learning, Allah Azza wa Jal created this foundation over here as an image of the main foundation of the Malakut, the kingdom that we were created originally from. As a definition, we say that the moon and the sun they represent something else in the kingdom, this kingdom, the God kingdom. Earth represents something else. Each one of those ones considered to be the science of dot. As I told you before, we have something called the science of the dot, or the science of the sphere. It was referred from Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt are the hood of the Prophet, and those family of the Prophet They send us certain narration, and those narration are basically the foundation of our discoveries, the what that we're making these days, especially connecting all this discoveries with mathematics, with physics, with chemistry, with everything that we are learning from. Let me give you an example. For example, through this science we can say why, for example, a woman she has to wear a scarf. Can we say there's a rule in mathematics that a woman has to wear a scarf? Yes. From this science we can see because all sciences, they work as a parallel to each others. For example, when the great scientist Albert Einstein, when he discovered that E equal mc square, we discovered that energy equal the matter times the speed of light. So anything is connecting to between the energy of matter are equal to each others. Now we can say that everything existed in every part of science equal to the science of religion and has to be founded there. Otherwise there's no meaning of the creation, or there would be disturbance in the meaning of the creation. Everything has to be meeting all the values and other relations. For example, if we say you have to eat like a dhabiha, for example, halal food, a food does not contain a blood, and we have to eat from certain animals, as those animals that Allah Azza wa Jal He permit us to eat. This is mean that those, if you would take them in physiology or biology and the science of viruses and the science of that, your body are able to be your body is able to take all those food and as a nutritious, and it does not consider as a dangerous like what's happening these days. Even if we had before previously like a certain flu that affected the chicken or affected the cows, but mainly because of their food is brought from the different food that Allah Azza wa Jal He did not permit them to eat. So mainly those viruses are human caused viruses. So we see that this constitution religion, for example, I'm now just making small introduction just for you to understand the coming, because the coming it will be very deep, so you know in what kind of construction I'm talking about. We need to first understand all the parallel worlds that we live in. I'm not talking about parallel in dimension, I'm talking parallel in sciences, because every science holds all the answers, and each answer defined by different answers from different sciences. For example, like I just said, eating, for example, halal is equal to the why. For example, we ask why we don't eat the blood, because in the definition of the biology and the definition of physics and the definition of chemistry, it will be having bad effect on us. So Allah Azza wa Jal, in the regulation of the religion, He said don't do that because it will harm you, while He permitted, for example, for all animals to eat each other without having the effects that we will have based on our physical biology or physical being. This is one of the example. We have many examples. For example, the doing the good deeds, it will having the good energy. For example, helping each other, it will have certain energy that will flow, and this energy will provide happiness. Happiness is a science that we study in psychology. So as we see that all the sciences are connecting to each other to help the human being, and each one is defined by each other. So if we see, for example, a certain religion that's saying no to something and it has a good value for you, then this religion will be bad. In Islam, during the 9 years I've been studying each the order that the religion gave us, each order that it will say that you will have a benefit. I will always compare it with science, and always science proved to be working with this matter as a proof of the reality that all sciences is connecting together, even the science of religion or the science of constitution that Allah Azza wa Jal provided. So anyway, this is a basic definition of what I'm going to be presenting now. Let's go and watch our existence now. A brother asking me to speak slowly. I will start speaking slowly. Just if there is something that you want me to explain more, you can ask me over here at the end of the lecture. I will be I'll try to answer that. Now let's talk about living in earth. Allah Azza wa Jal in the Holy Quran, He mentioned something very important. Now we're gonna go deeper into the throne of Allah. What is it exactly? I'm not gonna be talking classically, so please, I want you to follow with my evidence proofs, and at the very end I will show you certain images, certain videos that from different scientists, they showed us what is it exactly, the sphere, and how it could be carried with 8 sections. But let's talk about the connection between this science and the connection between the Quran al-Kareem. Where did he mention all that? For example, in the Holy Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, He start talking about Ahilla. Ahilla mean concerning the new moon. For example, the new moon always will give you the definition, the regular moon. I'm now talking from the outside. In a little bit I will compare this in the inside. For example, you are sitting on earth. You will always be following the moon. Moon always will give you the time sheet, that when do you pray, for example, when do you fast, when do you break your fast, when do you do your Hajj, because all is defined by the lunar calendar. The beautiful thing about the Islamic calendar is not like the Chinese calendar. Chinese always they follow the moon in a certain way that always will be the same thing, like the sun, like the solar moon, like the solar system. For example, always they have let's say certain months in the same time that it will always be every single year. With Allah Azza wa Jal, system is always moving 10 days. Why it's going to move 10 days? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants you to focus on the duality. What does it mean? For example, the Shahr Ramadan, He wants you to fast Shahr Ramadan during every season, like for example in the winter and the summer, and each one it has its own ajr. Ajr mean like a reward. He does not want you just to always fast from 9, let's say, to 5. He sometimes wants you to fast from 5 in the morning to 9 at night, because He always wants you to expand all this sabr, patience. He wants you to learn something important. He wants you to always move with time. He always wants you to be connected with the spirit of science, because it is like something always has been changing. It is always something has to keep change, because he's telling you an indirect message behind that indirect message, and this message we will know it and we will see it now. For example, Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Al-Baqarah, He starts speaking about the new moon. He said, they say, I'm talking about 189 from Surah Al-Baqarah. He said, they ask you concerning the new moon. Say, there are times appointed for the benefit of man and for the pilgrimage, and it is not righteousness that you should enter the house at their backs. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. It actually is connecting together. أن تأتوا البيوت من ظهورها لكن البر ولكن البر من تقى وأتوا الباب أبواب من أبواب أمس وأتوا البيوت من أبوابها. Allah Azza wa Jal, He is over here. He is talking in 189. He's talking about Ahilla. Ahilla. He over here. It is the Hilal, the beginning of the moon, and after that. Why I'm talking about Ahilla over here? Because it is the first connection between the sun and the moon. How the sun and the moon connect? They connect through the light, through the photons. And we see this connection because there's this triangular connection between the science, the moon, and Earth. There's this triangular connection. Through this connection, we know there's a relationship between the sun and the moon. The Urafa, what does it mean, the Urafa? The spiritual people who study spirituality in the highest level, they said that the sun always represents the light of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, the first time the people, some certain people, they could hear, they could listen for the first time to me and this lecture, but this is the reality. Reality is there's a representation between the reality, the existence, and certain reality that God created us for. For example, the sun is representing something, the moon is representing something, The planets are representing something. If you don't believe me, read Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, when he said he saw the sun and the moon and the planets as bowing. Yusuf alayhi salam over here is showing that they're bowing, and people, for example, even Sunnis or Shias or different people who listen the Quran, they said, okay, those ones are representation of his family bowing. So the reality of, there is an outside and inside. The reality of this bowing is something else. I spoke about Prophet Joseph previously, but now I will show you that the reality of the sun is the nur, let's say nur of Allah Azza wa Jal, of God, that He created certain science to do it, then generating the heat, generating the light, and then we are living under this light, because light always provides us for us to see the reality. And the moon at the same time always take 14 days to be completed. So the moon, it take from the beginning of the month, lunar month, till the 14th, so will be completely clear, completely full, and then after 14 it will start closing time. Over here we're talking about a beautiful thing that happen every single month, but we don't really see it. We don't really pay attention to it. And then it will show us this ayah with the connection with what I'm speaking about, this system. It will show us a different surah or ayah that it's very important, that many Muslims till this moment did not connect to it, to connect the real meaning to it. Okay, so let's see, we begin by opening. You see, at the beginning of the month we start opening. We see the light is hitting the corner of the moon, and then it will start growing fully, and then it will start closing fully. So over here we're talking about two parentheses. If you see the whole month, you take a picture every single day, you see a whole month, two parentheses, and then there's a full moon between. This is like, it's talking to us about something more deeper. We will show you what exactly I'm talking about. If you go to Surah Al-Najm, Surah Al-Najm is very important surah. It has an outside and inside. Many many scholars till this moment, they cannot connect to it. They cannot exactly explain it. I'll tell you where is the problem in explaining this surah. They say, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى, I swear by the star where it's go down. Your companion does not err, nor does he go astray, nor does he speak out of desire. It is not by revelation that is revealed. And then he go to surah number 8. ثُمَّ دَنَا فَتَدَلَّى. He said, then he drew near, then he bowed. And then number 9, he said, so he was the measure of two bows or closer still. Over here many people, they start asking, he was close to what? You guys, like Muslims, they say, most scholars, they say God does not exist in any place. God does not have time. God does not has a place. Does exist in everywhere at the same time. He's nowhere. He's not defined by any physical location. He's not defined by any physical emotion. He's not defined by anything we can think of, because anything you think of is limited to your brain. And if your brain can think about it, then God can be limited to the thought, and He does not promote Him to be God. So many Muslims, when they come to this ayah, they say dana fatadala. They say, you know what, Rasulullah, he was ascended, and then when he was ascended with Gabriel, there was certain hujub, like veils. He told Rasulullah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Jibreel, stop here, I will continue. This is where they were in Sidrat al-Muntaha. Sidrat al-Muntaha is the highest place any person can reach except Rasulullah. Rasulullah, he was able to go into veils. Some of them they say 3 veils, some of them they say 4 veils. One of them is the veil of nur, light, the veil of light, the veil of darkness, the veil of so and so, I don't know, 4 veils. and then he was able to go at that place. That place is, they say it is where God is. He was so close to God that he was far away, only the measure of 2 bows. I'm talking about the definition of how they spoke to you from this ayah. If you don't believe me, take this ayah in Surah Al-Najm 8, 9 in Surah Al-Najm, Surah 8, Surah 9, and go to your sheikh in the masjid or mosque, to any person you know, and then ask him about it. He said, what is it exactly? Then he drew near. Near what? And then he bowed. Bowed to what? And then so he was the measure of 2 bows or still closer. So over here we see Muslims are contradicting themselves. They say first, God does not exist in any place. At the same time, he exists everywhere. They say, okay, if he everywhere, then when Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was ascended to heaven, he was closer to what? Over here, we will go inside this dilemma, and then you will see people, it's just like they will say it's like just representation of God. Okay, if this is a representation of God, why everyone is away from that representation? Why representation has to be a creation that nobody see or nobody know about? Why this representation present if it's not something very important? So Allah Azza wa Jal in this ayah, He is showing us with the connection of the first, what I spoke about, the lunar. He is actually showing us every single month this representation in front of us. This is the connection between the kingdom and the reality over here in this world that we live in. If we don't believe it, we have to see it in our eyes. This is the proof. This is science. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal made science follow all these steps that I'm speaking about. In connection, let's make the connection now, and then we'll show you the reality. We'll show you that. What is it exactly? What was it? What was he closer to? He close to what? As we see every single month, and because we don't have tafakkur, we don't see every single month, we don't remember the realities, we don't do observations. We think observation is only entitled to the Western world, while we should be doing that every single day, not just doing the observation in the only in time. We need to record this observation every single time to see the whole picture, because sometimes picture cannot be done in one night. Certain picture need a whole month to be seen. Sometimes they need a whole year. Sometimes they need 100 years to see. We do see he was at the measure of the 2 bows or still closer. The translation over here, it does not give the right translation. Let's say in Arabic it said ثم دنا فتدلى, then he drew near, then he bowed. فكان قاب, he was. قوسين in Arabic has 2 meanings. The first meaning is qaus is the bow. The second meaning, because they did the translation and based on the translator, how did he understand the ayah? The second meaning of the qaus in Arabic is, the parentheses. Parentheses in Arabic mean qaus. Like for example, if you write a word, you say افتح القوس, open the parenthesis and then you write, and then close the parenthesis, because he's telling you what's in the parentheses is very important. What's in the parentheses is very important. Over here, as he said, he was very near to certain thing. I will tell you now what is it. And then he opened the parentheses, he went inside it, and then he closed the parentheses. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was between those 2 parentheses. You see, this is how important the translation is, based on what understanding of the science of Ahlul Bayt, or understanding any person's science from outside. So over here we see that the observation of the moon and the sun will give you the conclusion that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he represent the nur of the existence, the sun. The relationship, the moon is reflection of that sun, is the inside of the sun. Why the inside? Is because when we see moon and sun, and the moon and the sun crisscrossing between each other, we see them continue each other. We see even the moon has a small distance, has a small radius, and the sun is much much larger. But depending on the distance that Allah Azza wa Jal created between the sun and the moon and the earth, we see that it will be exactly the same, the close. So we have the outside that presenting the nur, which is the sun, which is presented by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what presented by the inside of the sun, which is the reflection that given us when we are in darkness. We see the moon, the light. It will show us where to go. Why? Because he's telling you that the moon is the inside of the sun, which is by the definition of the Quran al-Kareem, it is Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi. It is Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah. Imam Ali, he was the nafsu Rasulullah, he was the self of Rasulullah by the definition of the Holy Quran. In the Holy Quran, Muslims, all the Muslims, Shia, Sunni, every single spec, every single sector, every single section, whatever you want to call it, they said when Allah Azza wa Jal, he revealed ayah, he said anfusana wa anfusakum. This is mean ourselves and yourselves. And when Rasulullah took his self, he was himself and Imam Ali salamullah alayhi. So based in the ayat al-mubahala, we call it ayat al-mubahala. Based on ayat al-mubahala, this has happened between Rasulullah and the Christians of Najran. If you want to read about it more, you want to know more information. So in ayat al-mubahala, he said Rasulullah, he said to the Christian of Najran, you see, I give you all the proof that I am the messenger. I give you all the realities. I give you everything you want to talk about. They said, no, we don't want all this. We don't want all that. We want to see who God give the power to. This is mean we have to sit between each others, like face to face, and then we ask God to show us who is in the right path, and the other people will be doomed. So they accepted. They gave themselves an appointment that they're gonna meet in this certain area at that time. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he got himself with Imam Ali, Hassan and Hussein, and As-Sayyidah Zahra salamullah alayha, and the Christian of Najran. They were facing him, debating. They want to debate him with all the scholars, with all their scholars. So when they came, Allah Azza wa Jal, he revealed this ayah. قُلْ تَعَالُوا نَدْعُوا أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ. Our sons and your son. This is mean Hassan and Hussein are equal to all the sons of the Ummah. And then he said, أَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. Us and yours. أنفسنا mean ourselves, ourself. And he was with Imam Ali. So Imam Ali is equal to the self of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by the definition of this ayah. And then he said, by our women and your woman, and this woman was defined by Sayyidah Zahra salamullah alayha. So we know over here, if Rasulullah, he got someone else with him, this is mean the other person will be the self of Rasulullah too, which is he did not take anyone except Imam Ali salamullah alayhi. So the moon is showing us this reality, showing us that between the first day and the 14th day, it will be completely reflecting the nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So what does it mean? This has many meanings. The first meaning is we know what to do based on the lunar calendar, the Islamic calendar. This is the outside meaning. One of the inside mean that there is a 14 person that show you the reality, the full moon, the full light of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is the 12 Imam, Rasulullah and Sayyidah Zahra. Because all those Imam, they were like adding a day. That's why, for example, every single day when we wake up, we have a supplication to do. We have to do ziyarah for Imam, because we have 7 days. Each day, they were named in Arabic because of them. For example, Ithnain, in the meaning mean 2. Ithnain mean 2, mean Hassan and Hussein. Thulatha mean 3. There's 3 Imams. Urba'a, there's 4 Imams. Khamis, there's Khums of Imams, which is Imam al-Hassan, and then Imam al-Hassan al-Askari, and then Al-Jumu'ah. Jumu'ah mean the gathering because Allah Azza wa Jal in the Holy Quran, He said in يوم إذا نودي للصلاة, because if Allah Azza wa Jal, if someone asks you for salat from يوم الجمعة, from the day of Jumu'ah, not from in the day of Jumu'ah, from, this is mean the day of Jumu'ah is a person which is يوم الجمع, يعني at the end is where Imam Mahdi is going to appear, and he's going to ask his followers to do the Jam'ah and do the Bay'ah. And then after you do Bay'ah to Imam Mahdi, you go around the earth, and subhanallah, every ayah has outside and inside meaning to it. So this is the explanation of the first two phases. Now let's go deeper in the second phases. Now you will say, so this nur, you mean when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam he went to do a certain nur, like a place look like circle, because it is a representation of the sun. Yes, but for sure it's much bigger. It has much higher energy, because Allah Azza wa Jal, He's saying that this light, this sphere of light, is the reality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's say we define our body by what? We define our body by regular body, a self, and a ruh. Ruh means spirit. A ruh. Those three things we define our body with. For example, if our body goes away, we still have the self. Allah Azza wa Jal, this is when we die. Our self will be the same. It will move from one body to a different body, and this body, the second body, will be entangled with the dimension that it will be live in. The third thing is the spirit. Spirit always will be attached to us till the day of judgment, because Allah Azza wa Jal does not make the spirit, which is the energy, suffer, because it's created from the holiness, from the light of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it always the self. Imam Ali salamullah alayhi, when he spoke, they told him, Imam, can you explain us about the self? He said, yes, self is constructed from 8 things. Yourself is constructed from 8 things, all connected to each other, all connected, so to present the one self. For example, if you look at the laser light is like that. It is like 2 parallel plates, and there's a lot of things, movement going inside, and then it will be presenting one light. This one light is we call it the self. So for example, when I talk to you, there's too much a reaction between all the selves inside me, all connected together, and then it will be projected as one person, as one definition, as one ideology that you will see it now. This is the definition of the self. If we connect the same definition of the self as Imam Ali said, this is mean there's a higher self which is presenting the self of what we call Ahmad in the kingdom. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said at the beginning of time, if you want to open the Bible, open that. If you want to open the Quran, it does exist. If you open the first page in the Bible, you'll see God created the light, and from light He created everything, and it said it be, it did. The Holy Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal did spoke about this in the meaning of fatq and ratq. It is the connection of the Big Bang, and then the connection of gathering everything, come back to it again. Big Bang and then come back to it again. So over here we are in a much deeper state of mind. If you go deeper into it, you connect yourself to the kingdom. Let's think about it. Allah Azza wa Jal first, like our Imam Sadiq, he said, there's a narration from Imam Sadiq or Baqir, they're all one light anyway. He said that when Allah Azza wa Jal created, He created first thing the light of Rasulullah. Even there's a narration that said Rasulullah was talking to Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. He said the first thing that Allah Azza wa Jal created, O Jabir, He created the nur, my nur, the my light, and from my light He created everything. We have a narration that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned this thing. So that light, it was not named Muhammad. The name Muhammad is entitled based on the reality, the dimensional reality of our pi on the earth. This is completely different theory in physics. For example, let's say if my body go to different dimension, my body has to take different shape. Everything will be connected the same thing, will give functionality the same way, but because the laws that govern this, the physical law that govern this dimension changing, the physics of my atoms will be changing. So Ahmad in the Malakut is Muhammad on earth, because Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned Ahmad, He mentioned the name Ahmad, He mentioned that he was the first creation. And then Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave Ahmad this representation called Muhammad. So we know what he is. We can connect to, we can speak to, we can see the value of akhlaq, morality. We can see what Allah Azza wa Jal wants from us. He cannot say, I am God, worship me, and then He disappear. Allah Azza wa Jal created something that we can really see and touch and live with. So we know why we are here. So Allah Azza wa Jal can connect through us through Him, from us, to us from Him. So when He said, I created Ahmad, it was like, we can imagine it's like a ball of nur. It was like very, 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 very intense ball of nur. The riwayah, the narration, I'll continue the narration. He said, Allah Azza wa Jal, He looked at this nur, nadratul hayba, in the nadra of hayba. I'm not sure what does it mean in English, but this nadra is like a nadra that if you're looking at something very deeply into it. When Allah Azza wa Jal looked into that, I'm not giving physics to Allah. This nadra look, this look has science to it. The way of Allah Azza wa Jal, because Allah Azza wa Jal, He's not entitled to any physical meaning, but when they mention this narration, they want us to know that there's certain things happen to that nur. When some certain things happen to that nur, this ball of sphere, start dripping water, and then this water made like a whole ocean under that. It was flipping nur, and then there's an ocean made from that, and then this ball of nur went inside the water. And then everything was created. This is explained a meaning in the Quran Al-Karim. He said, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. We made everything from water came to life. And then there is a different ayah that said that وَكَانَ عَرْشُ رَبِّكَ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. And then it was the throne of your Lord on water. It was the throne on your Lord of water before it went inside. Okay, so the throne of your Lord is a sphere that lived from outside. Is a sphere that lived from outside, and then it went inside. So that nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is everything was created from, and everything was created from that water. I know this idea is a little bit hard to understand, but inshallah I will be speaking more about it in the future. I'll speak more deeper into it. I'll go more deeper into it. I'll be always waiting for all your questions, because I want you to understand it. I want you to go deeper into it, and then I want you to see to see the reality of sciences, because all the sciences were constructed from this thing, from this science that I'm speaking about, because this is the main science. Everything was created from that. The alphabet was created from that. When we say, for example, why Allah Azza wa Jal chose the Arabic alphabet, because Arabic alphabet is the only alphabet that follow geometry. For example, if we look at the waw in Arabic, it look like a spiral. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, I created everything from that spiral. Mean He made His word between the kaf and noon. The kaf and noon is the definition of our universe. Our universe in Arabic called kawn. Kawn is kaf and then waw and then noon at the very end. There is a definition of kawn. So when He said, I made everything between the kaf and noon, He made everything from the waw, which is explain the water, explain the spiral, explain that there's something called golden ratio. So the golden ratio exists inside the universe. The golden ratio exists inside all universes. We cannot imagine any creation with no golden ratio, because they don't give a meaning if there's no golden ratio. So this is one of the things that we should be talking about when we speak about sacred geometry, when we speak about this type of geometry, when we speak about the geometry of the spheres, when we speak about many type of sciences. Anyway, we will continue. So Imam Ali said, when he spoke about the self, he said the self is divided to 8. Here I found like a strange connection. There's something connecting, like, something connecting between Allah Azza wa Jal saying that your throne of God will be carried by 8, and then over here that is saying yourself is carried by 8. And when we spoke about the self of Rasulullah, when we said like the sphere over there presenting Rasulullah, the reality of Rasulullah, and the narration and the Quran that said, Ya Ali anta nafsi, Ya Ali, you are myself, you are my batin, I am the prophet and you are the wasi, you are the successor. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speak, he does not speak because he love, he does not speak because he love a person and he start giving him a poem. So Rasulullah does not speak a poem, because Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Holy Quran, what did he say? وَمَا يَنْطُقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. He's speaking about Rasulullah. Rasulullah does not speak from emotions. وَمَا يَنْطُقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى. Allah Azza wa Jal, he give him a revelation and then he say it. So all his word does not show the emotions, does not show, because he wasn't sitting like with Imam Ali and then because he loved Imam Ali he said, Imam Ali, you are myself. He cannot say that, because he is a prophet, he is a representing of God on earth. When he sit down and talk to Imam Ali, this is mean there's science behind that. When he spoke to Sayyidah Zahra, this is mean there's a science behind that. There's many things that we have proofs from the Holy Quran, the Hadith, narration, the sciences, even the real science now. We have a proof from it that this is the reality we should be knowing and should be living. So Rasulullah, when he was ascended, actually he was ascended to Ahmad, mean that his symbol in earth went back to the big Ahmad, the reality, the Nur, real Nur. Allah Azza wa Jal want us to know His Nur. And Allah Azza wa Jal want us who is inside. When He said قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى, inside, this is mean like there is a connection between the outside and the inside. The outside and the inside. Over here, many things will come up to you, and will say, wow, that's something very deep, something I wish we have proof of. Actually, we do have a lot of proofs. First proof is the connection between the sun and the moon. I just told you. The sun of the moon decide your religion. The sun of the moon decide the time of your salat. The sun of the moon decide the time of your siyam. They decide all your religion. They decide all your constitution between you and Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He's telling you that you want to be connected with me, connect with the people I love. If you want to connect with me, you need to connect with the people who I choose. Some people say, oh no, we don't need that. We can just say Allah, He give us directly. We don't need anybody in the middle. Well, Allah Azza wa Jalla, for example, if He want to make someone die, He can make someone die without sending Azrael, the angel of death. He can make him die immediately, right? Why He send you a death angel? Because He's teaching you that there is a system. He's teaching you that there is a science behind that. He's teaching you that I am God. I have everything put in a certain way, that everything follows schedule, everything follow my orders. Everything has to be connected from me, from my representation. There's someone from my Nur that is gonna be connected to you. Why? Because He wants you to learn to follow. When we go to Hajj, we turn around only one house. We don't just go outside and turn around any house, because He's telling you for Hajj you have to follow this law. If you want to do pilgrimage, you have to go to that place and then perform this things for you to be granted Hajj. He is always teaching you about a system that turn about different systems Same thing like atoms, they turn about the nucleus. Same thing like us turning about Hajj. Same thing about all the planets, they're turning about around the sun. Same thing about all the suns turning about the black hole in the middle of the universe. Same thing about all the universe turning about the bigger black hole in the middle, or whatever it is, turning all in a way that will go at the end of showing us the reality of this apple. What is it exactly? Some people, they think apple, when Adam took this apple, is just a fruit and God was angry and he kicked us outside. They haven't actually know things are more deeper than that. They're not childish. Allah Azza wa Jal is not child to kick us from heaven, the same way. Please, I want you to go back and listen to my lecture that I spoke about Adam and Eve and the reality of apple. He's speaking about the science of Taurus. He's speaking about he's speaking about the science of Taurus. He's speaking about many sciences that all connected to the sacred geometry. So we go back to this definition. I will show you a movie. I won't be long, inshallah. I won't give this lecture longer. But in 1951, a mathematician, he said, you know what, we need to study certain science that say how to flip a sphere inside out. He said, I want to flip a sphere inside out. Like you will say, what this science give us, Actually, subhanallah, Allah Azza wa Jal, like the bees, he said in the Holy Quran that he will send certain revelation to the bees. Bees in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the inside, not just the regular bees, that they fly around you. Actually, it is the bees always mean the scientists. Scientists always, they go from flower to flower, mean they go from book to book. They take the essence of every book, they gather it all together, and then they connect points. Why? Because they're showing us that there's a certain sciences that they're not been here before. They want us to know about it. Because it does exist, those sciences, they existed. But Allah Azza wa Jal did not give a revelation about them before. In 1951, I think the permission from Allah Azza wa Jal came in for certain scientists that he studied this sphere. Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, I will grant him this science because a certain time, this science, we need to be used maybe 60 years later, like now, to show that this sphere can be flipped inside out with connecting to certain laws. Those laws, for example, if you want to take a sphere, you want to flip it inside out. You want to flip a sphere inside out. You cannot make any holes into it. No holes inside any circle. At the same time, you want to consider this circle as light. Light mean like from light mean like all the outside can go through the inside. Like for example, if you push it down, it can go to the other side, but you cannot make the edges, for example, while you're flipping it from side to side, if those edges they be like connected to each other, then you will lose. You cannot make them attracted, like too attracted, because you will lose. This way you're not flipping the circle inside out. So those two laws, when you look at the circle, you say it's impossible to flip it inside out, not to make a hole, not to push it or bend it so it can pass through, because there's going to be a bend, like a circle around, and this circle will be contracting two sides together, so it will be almost impossible to flip it inside out. So scientists, they kept thinking about this for hundreds of years, how to flip a certain circles inside out with those two definitions, with those two laws. While this scientist, I will show you the movie now. While this scientist, he was thinking about this science, he found that you cannot. For example, if you bring like a string, like a circle, not a sphere, it's impossible for a circle to be flipped inside out with those rules. It's impossible. He said that you only can do it with the sphere to bring the inside out, but with the circle you cannot, even though you can just bring a circle and then you turn it, because it's not governed with the surrounding. Let's say if you bring a circle now, you cannot turn it this way, because you cannot just turn it, because there's certain edges you don't see. Those laws does not they will do a contradiction with it. If you wanna understand it more, there's a movie was made in 1990 about why you can flip a sphere inside out, why you cannot flip a circle inside out, and they will explain to you. The movie will take like a 30 minutes. You will deeply know about it. I will show you a movie now about a sphere, not a circle, but I'm showing you that Allah Azza wa Jal, even He spoke about that. He spoke about He spoke about the circle in the Holy Quran. And if you go to Surah Tawbah in 98, He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذْ مَا ينفق مغرما ويتربص بكم الدوائر عليهم دائرة السوء والله سميع عليم. And of the dwellers of the desert, He talking about the people who munafiqeen are those who take what they spend to be a fine, and they wait calamities to you. On them the calamities, the evil calamities. Over here even the translation is off. Allah Azza wa Jalla is speaking about the circle of su, the circle of evil. Why? Because over here Allah Azza wa Jalla He's saying those people, even if you flip them inside out, those people, they are bent to a circle, and this circle is evil. Why? Because they cannot flip themselves inside out. The munafiq always show you something and he is inside very bad. So when someone has the evil circle inside him, he cannot show you the inside out. And that's very important meaning. If you go in depth into it, you will really be amazed about why Allah Azza wa Jal He mentioned in this ayah in 98 the circle of evil. Over here the translation does not even spoke about the circle at all, but Allah Azza wa Jal He said, Allah Azza wa Jal He sent the circle of evil to close, because they cannot flip inside themselves inside out. Nifaq, when you say someone munafiq, hypocrite, you cannot see the hypocrisy outside. It's always only from the inside, and Allah Azza wa Jal He closed that to keep the evil inside them, because it is bad. Allah Azza wa Jal He wanna keep the inside. He does not wanna take it outside, because it will hurt the people. This is from the outside meaning. There's an inside meaning to it too. Anyway, I don't wanna keep talking about the inside and outside for the circle. I wanna keep talking about the sphere. So the sphere, actually, they found it. They found the science that it can be flipped, and the most amazing part of it, it cannot be flipped with 7 section. It cannot be flipped out with 9 section. It can only be flipped with 8 crosses that will look like a cross. And this science is show you that Allah Azza wa Jal He's speaking about something very deep in the Holy Quran. He's telling you that the only one He will carry the crown of Allah. The crown of Allah meaning the nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that this is the crown. The crown mean the nur of Rasulullah. Ahmad is the crown of Allah, is the inside of nafs Rasulullah, which is Al-Imam Ali salamullah alayhi. He will be presented in 8 dimensions, carrying Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in that word. When he said, Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, that we will see the throne of Allah during the judgment day. Now I'll show you the movie, and I will explain it. And I will explain it what exactly we mean. So when I open this movie, we have a brother that he made this movie. It's very important that you see science is connecting all people together. A scientist that he in 1951 he showed us how to flip a circle inside out. And then in the 90s, a team of Geometry Center turned the sphere inside out. This is the movie. I want you to watch it, because they will explain why you cannot flip a circle inside out, but you can flip a sphere inside out, and it does exist. So this person, he write a program in C++ language because he want to see the truth about can really we flip a circle inside out with the same laws that I gave you. He want to see it more. He's showing you what exactly the construction of this program is, show you it is constructed of the sphere, transformation of the sphere, and the transformation of the sphere. How those three laws will be connecting with each others to show you how the sphere is and how we're going to flip the sphere. The sphere is a space. Now he's defining the sphere. Now he's showing you flat tangent. Guys, this is where the nur and the tangent come, the man and the woman. That's why we have a connection, the flat of the circle and the tangent, where the creation, the man, the male and the female. But over here we're showing you why there's 8 connections inside the circle. So over here he's showing us the depth and the depth about. Now you imagine this one, Nur Rasulullah, the sphere is Nur Rasulullah, the light of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that called Ahmad. And the flat, he's showing you immersion of transformation. Look nice, okay. Now we will go inside. We'll see how. You see now, if we push the two sides, the up and down, look. This is, by the way, made all from C++ language. Now he's showing you an examples, immersion. Sphere immersion, if you push it from to the two sides, you see when he push it two sides, there's, look, there's, okay, can we go back? Or we go front? Look, let's stop the video over here. Let's stop the video over here. So by science, by the law of mathematics, you cannot make the circle flip by 9 pieces. You cannot flip it by 9 crosses. You see the cross over here is like a parenthesis. If you want to push those ones down, you have to make it divided by 8 only. You cannot make it by 7, you cannot make it by 9, you can only make it by 8. If you can count all the crosses over here are 8 crosses. Same way that Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ mean not Allah Azza wa Jalla over here, the person responsible for you, which is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is Ahmad. Over here it's carried by 8 crosses, the same crosses that he showed you in the lunar, you know, the moon. There's 2 crosses, which is mean if you take all the days from day 1 to day 30, you will see 2 crosses. Over here is showing you a sphere which is connected to all the dimensions altogether, which is mean al-ahilla. You can Rasulullah, through Ahlul Bayt, your religion is defined by. That's why they are the definition of the religion, Rasulullah and Imam Ali, which is Imam Ali represent the moon and Rasulullah represent the sun. You see over here, so we're flipping the inside out. There's this is the other side. We see the other side. There's 8 crosses that are turning from the side to the other side, and they're passing. We're making the first transformation that we spoke about, with the rule that we say there's no 2 sides can be pushed very tight, so they will be disappearing. So now in this way we flipped a circle inside out. So through this science we know that Imam Ali is the batin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the inside language of the universe, of the science. Now let's see something more interesting. Remember before when I told you that what does it mean, the name of Sayyidah Zahra? Zahra in Arabic it came from Zahr. Zahr mean the flower. You know when I told you about the flower of life? When I told you that Sayyidah Zahra is the connection between wilaya mean successorship of Rasulullah and the prophethood. You see, when you flip the circle inside out, a sphere, a new shape, geometrical shape came to existence, which showed us the view of Az-Zahra. You see the view of the flower. You see, we see the flower in front of our eyes. This shape, the connection between Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Ali, the batin Rasulullah, showed us who is the reality of Sayyidah Zahra salamullah alayhi. So even the name Zahra showing in the geometrical form of the universe. is formed in the geometrical forms of the nur, of the light. All those over here, if you remember before when I told you about sacred geometry, can you see the shape of the sacred geometry? All the circles inside. Can you see the faces of the hut? Hut mean the whale. Can you see those, the light of the eyes? You see, Masons, when they came, they took this eyes. It came from the real science. You know, Iblis, the Satan, he took this eye and he started putting it inside those symbols for the Masons, for you to fear it, because he said, this eye is my eye. In reality, no, it's not his eye. This eye, it does represent a connection between Nubuwah, a connection between Imama. You know, that's why I'm trying to present this science back, to claim all the real sciences that people and the Satans, they took it over time to scare people about the reality of Allah Azza wa Jal, the reality of Ahlul Bayt, reality of the existence. So anyway, we see that it's flipping inside out. You see over here those connections. It's not, those crosses are not bent so closely so can they disappear. They just made them through pass by. He's explaining how this is happening, and then at the very end it's turning inside out. And then over here in this movie, this is by the way, this video, it does exist on YouTube. You can go inside, you can see it. He's showing you over here every single part, how it's passing through without doing the bend that will destroy. You see over here, if we kept pushing it, it will be destroyed. So he flip it and then he flip it back. He moved the sphere with crosses and then he put them inside each other, so he flip it to the other side. You see, he's showing you from each cross how it's happening. So if you go see it slowly, if you go to the video how to flip a sphere inside out. Now he put two crosses, he's showing you, and then he put more, he's showing you from the other side. He's showing you all those geometrical shape that at the very end it's containing the reality of the universe. And Allah Azza wa Jal, all he mentioned it by showing us what the reality of his throne. For sure, some people now they will say, what are you talking about? This is very hard to understand. Actually, if you want to talk about outside the kingdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, you don't want to limit it to your physical shape. You want to start grasping the idea of that sciences are parallel to each others. They all explain each others. Sayyidah Zahra exists inside religion by a human being. Sayyidah Zahra, the lady of the universe, exists in a universe by a shape of a Zahra. Allah Azza wa Jal created the flowers on earth just to show you the representation of this creation from the universes. He showed you how everything turns around a certain center. We turn around a certain center. Religion told you there's a pilgrimage, you have to go turn around the Kaaba. Allah Azza wa Jal created the atom. He created the universe the same way. You turn around a certain subject because this subject is connecting you to the higher dimension that Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants you to be connected to. Even the shape of the Kaaba, why it's Kaaba, why it's rectangle, because rectangles are from the platonic solids that they mainly came from this shape that I showed you now, and all the shape came from the movement that Allah Azza wa Jal made from the inside and outside of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Holy Quran, وَهُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. O human being, we created you from one self, from the self of Rasulullah. He's not talking about the self of Adam. I tell you why. Because Adam, he does not inherit himself. For example, when I for example, my wife deliver a baby, I cannot give myself to my wife to deliver a new baby. So it does not apply to Adam. Adam, he does not give himself to Hawa to deliver a baby with it. You see, we need to really understand the Quran al-Kareem. He said he created you from oneself, and he created from the self, from its duality, mean from Imam Ali. In the Quran they say from its wife, no, from the duality of the self, yani from the inside and outside. And he created from those self and inside and outside. He start broadcasting all this, all, you see the importance of the word broadcasting. He started this is mean broadcasting like a light. When a photon leave as the sun, it's not connected to the sun anymore, but it will always show the picture of the sun till it will hit a different subject. When it hit a different subject, then this photon will start showing the image of different subject. It does not show the image of the sun anymore. That's why we are, in spirituality, we are ordered to go back to the origins, to show the reality of who we are exactly. We came from the reality of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So please, after this lecture, I want you to think about it, to study it more, deeper. I'm ready for any question, inshallah. I'll be presuming all the English lectures from now on. There's many lectures to cover. As I covered before, almost 20 lectures in Arabic. Now I'm gonna try to do them in English. So all the people followers who speak English, they want to understand more the sciences of the universe, the real science of sacred geometry. Please, I want you guys to learn those sciences that I'm presenting, to go deeper into it. I'm ready for anything you wanna add, you wanna ask. Because the coming sciences are going to be the science of sacred geometry. We need to be there. We need to be prepared to show people the reality of those sciences and why Allah Azza wa Jal created everything because of them, and to be connected with Him. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ. Peace be upon you all.